Okay, so I'm going to take a big deep breath real quick, and I'm going to say, hi, everybody, my community, my Magic Monday Soulstar Magic community. I'm so happy to see you here. And thank you for being here and joining me on this holiday Monday. And let's see, my name's Jen Cushman. I am an empathic intuitive reader and a Reiki master and an INLP certified INLP practitioner. And in July, I will be heading in to do my master prac. So I will be certified in NLP master practitioner. So that's all of my credentials of who I am, and I'm here. Mostly, excuse me, let me take a drink really quick. Mostly, I have been studying metaphysics and spirituality since I was, for 25 years now, and I love it. It is my favorite topic, is to talk about how our material world, our three-dimensional physical world, how we live amongst that, but then there's also the energetics and the energy of the spiritual world, or the other side, or the unseen, or the 5D, or whatever you want to call it. So that's what lights me up and gets my juices going, my creative juices flowing, is to talk about these really fun spiritual concepts that are not talked about on a daily basis unless you happen to hang out with me like JP did for 24 hours and we talked about energy, right? So that's kind of what I do. Last week, when I was thinking about the topics, I wanted to talk about deja vu, because if you guys remember, I was talking about the eclipse that was happening, the flower blood moon eclipse, and energetically how we were, those of us that were sensitive, we are probably experiencing much more deja vu. Now, I did what I always do, which is I love to over talk about things. I love to have all these concepts because more is more in my life. And I wanted to talk about deja vu and karma. Now, because I talked for 35 minutes about deja vu, I didn't get a chance to talk about karma. So I realized that. And so today I want to make the topic, and I will just go pretty quickly here, hopefully. And then I will definitely do readings for anybody who's here. Speaking of that, remember, Hitomi is here, and she is our hostess with the mostest, our moderator. And if you guys would like to be put in the pot for a card reading, make sure you put your names in the chat. Hitomi keeps keeps track of everybody, and she randomly pulls her team, her spirit guide, and her team working with my team comes up and pulls who spirit wants to pull for the week to get a reading. Now, remember, even if the card comes at the end, if it resonates with you, it is for you. So even if I don't specifically say Julie or Deborah or Jennifer or Angel, if it resonates with you, it is for you, because that is the way I worked it out. My team and I worked it out when we went to this format, which was over a year and a half ago. Okay, let me circle back to the topic. The topic today is Dharma and karma. And we hear these words a lot, particularly in pop culture, in the movies we see, and other things around us. So these are words that are just in our lexicon and our vocabulary. Now, both of these words are ancient words, and they are actually ancient spiritual concepts, right? And I want to talk about what they are. There's a lot of misconceptions of what karma is. And then there's a lot of people that just absolutely don't even understand what Dharma is. And one of my favorite things to do is to teach and educate you guys and let you know what they are. And then the other thing that I always do is when I bring up these metaphysical concepts and we talk about spirituality, I always want to bring them into the real world, right? The 3D physical dimensional world, because it's great to know about energy. It's great to know about spirituality. It's great to know about, religious concepts or spiritual concepts. But if they don't hold any kind of importance or meaning in our lives here and now, it's just information. So it needs to be brought down to why it's important. Okay. So I want to start with Dharma. Okay. Dharma, D-H-A-R-M-A, Dharma. It is a sister to karma, right? They are sisters. They are siblings. They are similar concepts, but they are two completely different things. Okay. So Dharma comes from the ancient language of Sanskrit. It actually is an important concept, a very important pillar concept, principal concept in both Buddhism and Hinduism, okay? In the ancient Eastern religions of Buddhism and Hinduism is where the concept of Dharma comes in. Itchy nose again, Candy, I'll get to the readings, I promise, honey. They are those elements in it. And in the Sanskrit word, Dharma actually means protection. At its most basic level, it is protection. And it is a concept that we have. It's an individual concept, and it is a concept about how a person, one person, human, male, female, whatever, how we live our lives to create protection around ourselves, right? So in spiritual beliefs, that's protection from, in Hinduism, say, from dark thoughts, dark energies, dark vibrations, lower vibrations, things that will bring our energy down as opposed to raise them up to be in God's light. Because in Hinduism and Buddhism, it's really about being in God's light and God's protection and God's infinite source, okay? So that's that religious concept of it. Now, the protectiveness at the basic is protection, but the way that you get protection in your Dharma is that you live your truths. You figure out what your truths are, what your what your morals are, what your values are, how you wish to live, how you wish to be compassionate, righteousness, but righteousness in the way of protection. So almost like a human rights thing is what it is. So it's really about being in your, in Hawaiian, they call it pono, right? In ancient Hawaiian religion, it's pono, which is how to become right with yourself. So when you are living your Dharma and you hear this thing, you hear this concept, and you'll hear it in movies and other stuff. Oh, she's living her Dharma. He's living his Dharma. What happens in modern society, we take that for life purpose. So we use it as life purpose. Now, life purpose is a piece of it, but it's really only just a small piece of the pie, because life purpose in 21st century life tends to get mixed up and interwoven in with money, right? How do you make an income? How do you, how do you help people? What do you do? But how do you get rewarded for it? Which in our society is living, it's money. And Dharma actually has nothing to do with finances. It has nothing to do with money. It really has to do with your own spiritual path, your own righteousness, your own compassion, your own sense of who you are at your core, your authenticity. And when you are living your Dharma, when you are in harmony with yourself, when you know yourself, Shakespeare's, know thyself. When you know yourself and you are living in your Dharma, in your truth, in your pono, in your heart and soul, then what happens is the light within you radiates out, and you are actually a light, right? You are a light worker, and you are radiating out your light, and others are seeing your light. And other people who are light workers and way showers and, white entities or whatever you want to call it, right? I love to call it light workers. Those people recognize and see your radiant light within you. And then you get these amazing comments like, oh my gosh, you look amazing. You're glowing. You're from the inside out. Well, you're glowing because you're living your Dharma, and your Dharma is your inside light, and your authentic soul light is showing through your eyes and your heart chakra and your skin. And I love when I post a picture on Facebook now, or I post on Instagram and people say I'm glowing. It just is the best compliment anyone could give me, because it means that I am in alignment with myself and I am in alignment with my Dharma. Okay. So that's what I want you to know. I also want you to know that there is individual Dharma, right? Which is really what we're talking about with Buddhism and Hinduism. And there is also universal or collective Dharma. Now, Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious. And if you guys, or the collective conscious, actually, sorry, the collective, well, both, they use both of them. But if you'll hear me talking about things, particularly when tough things go on in our world, when we have the war in Ukraine, when we have things that create very big, heavy energies for all of us because they're global energies or what happened, it's because things are happening that is affecting our universal Dharma, right? Our universal Dharma of who we are. They challenge it, who we are as individuals. It's challenging our individual righteousness of our belief that we should not hurt other people, we shall not kill, we shall not have power over others, that we take care of the poor and the weak and the old. And those of us that live by those mottos, those of us that live our Dharma, we get very challenged when global things go on that are out of alignment with our personal Dharma. And that's what also makes us out of alignment collectively, right? And universally. And it's also what makes our world sick. So being out of your Dharma can make you sick. It can cause stress. It can cause unease. It can cause unhappiness when you're not in alignment. And when we are out of alignment globally, it can cause sickness and disease and unrest. Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? That's a big concept. Okay. I like to introduce these really big concepts so you can understand what they are. And then I'll pull them down into why it matters. Okay. So here's the thing. The reason why Dharma matters. Okay. I don't want to go back to this universal concept. I have my notes to keep me on track because you guys know me. I'm like squirrel. I get off, right? So I have my little notes. So in this universal Dharma that we have, the concept, the Buddhism and Hinduism concept of Dharma universally is that humankind will rise to its own sacred innate goodness when shown a spiritual path. And I have to tell you from a concept thing, even though I don't subscribe to any particular religion, I consider myself a very spiritual person. I love to learn about all religions and a little bit about everything, but I don't subscribe to any particular religion, even though I do spirituality. But I do take the pieces of religion that are uplifting, that I'm inspired by. I don't necessarily make it my own, but I allow myself to be inspired by these other forms of religion. And this particular concept of Dharma really inspires me to the fact that there is God, there's a higher being, there's a higher intelligence, a higher power. And that in this higher power, when humankind was created, we are created to learn and experience. That's why we're here in human form, is because we want to learn and grow and experience. And we need to learn how to live with each other, because in humanity, we need each other. We didn't come here to be here alone. We came here to be in community with each other. We came here to have partnerships, to have siblings, to have, marriages or lovers or whatever we do. We come here for children. We come here for community. So part of our experience of being in our human bodies in the here and now is to learn how to be compassionate and live together. So, and I'll talk about karma in a minute, because that's what that is too. So that's where they're sisters on that. So I love this concept. I'm going to say it one more time. The concept of Dharma, universal Dharma, is humankind will rise to its sacred innate goodness when we are shown a spiritual path. And the reason why I want you to know about Dharma today is because on Magic Mondays, you guys, my tribe, my community, all of you are interested in a spiritual path, right? You are interested in a higher power. You're interested in human kindness. You're interested in love. You're interested in personal development. You're interested in growth. You're interested in talking about things that aren't normally talked about. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't be here with me, right? You wouldn't be part of my community, because that's what I talk about. So there's a lot of hope in that statement for me. There's hope that humankind will rise, that we are not going to be our demise. And I'm telling you, sometimes, and this goes back to something Ken brought up in a couple of Magic Mondays ago, that, he knows that love and light is the way, but his humanness gets angry and gets bitter and just wants to go in and just take the people that want to have power over others and the people who hurt others and, profit off of others and all of those things. He just gets so angry, and sometimes it just fills his sensitive being with anger, because he looks about the way things are happening in the world and it just frustrates him. And then because he can't do anything about it, and I feel the same way. So kid, I'm pointing you out if you're here, but I feel the same way. That's why I'm using you as an example, is that sometimes the heaviness and the darkness is so devastating that those of us who are light workers just want to go under and hide under the covers, and we don't want to come out and we don't want to peek out because it hurts. It hurts our sensitive hearts. It hurts who we are and we're being, right? So that's really the hard thing about it. So to understand these concepts, understand we're human, and still, even in the midst of the darkness, even in the saddest and the most pain, to have that little bit of hope. You know, that hope is a thing with feathers, that Emily Dickinson poem, it's one of my favorite, to hang on to that little bit of hope, because that little bit of hope is God's light, or the higher light, or whatever you want to call it, the universe's light, you know, divine love, whatever it is. So however hard the world gets, just hang on to that little bit of love, and understand that when you can't do anything about the larger collective Dharma, the larger collective conscious, the one thing that you always have power over, the one thing you always have control over is yourself. We have control over our thoughts. We have control over our actions. We have control over our choices. So when the world is out of control, the only thing we can control is us. Okay. So that's what Dharma means. So, okay, here we go. I want to read something really quick and I want to go in. Kim says, my Dharma went out the door after the elementary school shooting. Tough stuff, right, Kim? Exactly what I'm talking about. When you're sensitive, when you're an empath, when you are a light worker, when you are a way shower, when you are love and light, when you come here because you want to do your best that you can for yourself and you want to be here for humanity, elementary school shootings, systematic destructions, all of the horrible things take our little sensitive hearts and they literally squish it. And they just take it and they squish it so hard. And then the thing is that we can become bitter. We can become sad. We can become depressed. We can become overwhelmed. We can become all of those things because we are the sensitives walking this world. But I'm telling you, after reading, I read Greg Braden once, and he's really amazing. And there was a part, he talked about the tipping point. And in the tipping point, he talked about how the world is waking up, and the humanity we are, with the age of Aquarius and other things happening, we are learning these spiritual lessons, and there are light workers. And the more of us who wake up to our Dharma, the more of us who can stand in our authentic selves, be in our truth, and radiate our inner light outward. We're like an underground railroad, right? We're like a light post. If I can do it for you, you can do it for me. You can do it for somebody else. And when the world goes dark with elementary school shootings, when the world goes dark with senseless violence, we can literally turn the light on for each other in the darkness. And we know we're not alone. Okay, it makes me cry, but we know we're not alone. And that's the point of Dharma. Okay. That's the real world part of it. And that's why I'm so passionate about talking about it today. Okay. I'm going to take a breath and dry my eyes. Sometimes I just get so passionate talking to you guys that I get overwhelmed. My little sensitive heart just goes, woo. And of course, I ask my team and I open up. Okay. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I just want to turn the question over to Karma. Okay. Because I want to explain what karma is, Dharma and Karma, because they're sisters. Okay. So, and then after that, I'll just pull some card readings, and then that will be it for today's big magic love and learn topic. Okay. Okay. So karma is what you know. Okay. That's what is in, it's the belief system that's out there. It stands back. Karma, again, comes from Buddhism and Hinduism. And it comes back, it's ancient Sanskrit as well. And it goes through it. So one of the things about karma, though, karma is our choices and how we affect other people. Now, here's the interesting thing about karma. The way culture has put it, and the way pop culture and movies and mythology and stuff, we assume that karma is bad, right? That there is just bad karma, and that the bad people are going to get their karma. They're going to get their comeuppance. They're going to get that, right? So, or if you do something and you step out of line, bad karma is going to come get me, instant karma is going to come get me, all that kind of stuff. Now, while that's true, there's no, or at least in the theory, the concept, I can't prove that any of this is true, right? I'm very transparent about that. This is a belief system. In that sense, in my belief system, that's true. But there's also good karma, okay? So you have good karma when you go to the grocery store and you're kind to the person who's behind the teller, and you don't go off on them, or you watch somebody go off on them. How many times during COVID have you watched people take their frustrations out on the essential workers that were out there working for us because they had to go to work every day, because they had to make a minimum wage, because they had to pay their bills. And, we went out there and, we were just taking our frustrations out on them, right? So how many times did you see that during COVID? And how many times as a light worker or a sensitive or an empath, did you have compassion for that person and you smiled at them, or you said thank you, or you told them that they were doing a great job and you thanked them for showing up to work? That's good karma, right? And good karma will get you too. So there's bad karma and there's good karma. So think about Dharma. The way you think about Dharma is it's the personal thing. It's the way we choose to live on our own. It's our personal feeling. And karma, it's almost like Dharma's like reading the book, and karma is like practicing the lesson, right? That's what karma is. So Dharma is the inward version, and karma is the outward exploration, the outward expression of your Dharma. So when you're living your Dharma and you are doing those things that are within alignment and you allow that light to show through, then you are putting the karma out in the world. So, and then here's the other thing that is really kind of a misnomer on karma, is that we hurt people all the time. It is human. We always hurt people. We hurt the people we love. We hurt the ones we lived with. We hurt strangers. We hurt people because we get so involved in our own stuff, in our own brain, and our own busy schedule, and our own things, and our own words. And we don't necessarily stop to think all the time before we speak. So we can hurt people. So that's why Ho'oponopono in the Hawaiian part, why I believe so strongly in Ho'oponopono is because that is making amends for our hurts. Part of being human is we're going to hurt. We're going to hurt ourselves, and we're going to hurt others. So Ho'oponopono is making it right. It's a way of saying, I'm sorry, and meaning it, and allowing the energy to move through. So there's a sense of forgiveness. Now, bad karma is when you know that you're going to hurt somebody and you intentionally go through with it. So there's a big difference. Are you in the middle of it? You are sitting there in the middle of it and you can't stop it, and you just want to keep pushing, and you want to hurt that person because they hurt you so badly, then that's intentional karma. And you have bad karma and that expense because you pushed past it. It wasn't inadvertent. And then you need to atone for bad karma. Okay. So that's part of that as well. That's why Ho'oponopono and forgiveness is in there, because it can change the energetics on a physical plane and on a spiritual plane for allowing the salve or the balm or the oil of forgiveness to wash over it and change the energy of it so that you don't stay in bitterness and sadness and anger, and you can let it go and move forward. So that's what karma is. Okay. So let me see, let me just read it. Oh, and then let me read this. So yeah, universal law. So that's karma. So just so you know, karma. So what you know about karma is right. It's like you get what you give, and karma will catch up to you in this lifetime. You still will, whatever karma you have to do, good karma or bad karma, it will catch up to you in this physical life of yours. And in some instances, you will meet people from past lives. Again, if you believe in it, this is my belief system. You will meet people from past lives, and there will be old karma in past lives. And you will come into this life with the agreement that you're going to work out your karma together in this life. Okay. So karma is a really interesting concept, and it is a universal law. It is a spiritual universal law. Remember, on a Magic Monday, I went over the universal laws. Karma is a universal law. It's immutable. It's a force of nature. It is what we do, and it is one of the laws that grounds us and holds us on this physical plane of ours. So believe it when you say, but do know that there's good karma as well as bad karma. And then understand the concept of Dharma, because understanding that when you're right with you, you can be right with others and you can be right in the world. And again, to bring it back to the physical world and the physical realm of both living the seen and the unseen, which is what I walk every single day. And every time I do a reading or every time I do a Reiki or anytime I do anything and working with energy, I walk between the lines of the seen and the unseen. And I work with the unseen. I work with my guides and angels in order to be of service to myself and others in the seen, in the 3D world. And one of the things, you know, spirituality, it can't just be a concept. It also has to be a practice. Okay. Okay. That's what I wanted to talk about. I love the Love and Learns. If anybody has any questions or comments, please put them in the chat right now. Please feel free to say hi to each other. You guys are all familiar faces. You know, you're all here. Kathy, Carolyn, Sherry, Deborah, you know, Candy, you guys are all my community. So please feel free to talk to each other and love on each other every single Magic Monday. I'm so happy to see here. Okay. Jennifer says, I love the idea of past life karma in this life to work it all out. Susan says, very well said. And then Angel says, I'm so glad to be here. Angel, I am so happy to have you here. So I love when our community grows. You know, I just love having all of you guys here sharing this time with me. You know, when I did Mondays, I did it because it worked with my schedule, even though I know Mondays are really difficult for people who work that you go in, but it also worked out to be the absolute best time because these Magic Mondays allow me to start my week on such a high vibration, positive note of sharing this energy with you guys today. So I love it. Thank you, Jennifer. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Okay, Hitomi, you can go ahead, my love, and start getting the person around of what you know what it is. So, oops, hang on, I lost it. Hang on. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay, back to Zoom. Sorry, little hiccup. Okay, Jennifer says, I'm having trouble reconciling my suffering that it could be past life karma. Jennifer, that is a tough concept. I'm not going to lie to you. It is a really, really, really tough concept. And it may not be one that you're ready for yet. So whenever I talk about anything, you guys, any concept that I bring up and or talk about, remember, I have been doing this a really long time. So I've actually processed and integrated and done the stuff to try to work it out in my own sense of being, my own who I am in this time and place. So if anything I say doesn't resonate with you, either A, it's not meant to resonate with you and you don't need to worry about it, or B, you're just not ready for it yet. And it's something that will come up into your life when it's meant to come up into your life. So JP, I wouldn't worry about it, okay? If you're having trouble reconciling my suffering, that it could be past life karma, that's a whole nother concept. That's a whole nother, those are some books to read. That's some other stuff that talks about it. So that goes into your, hi Denise, nice to see you. That goes into study of the Akashic records. That goes into study of past lives. That goes into a whole nother field and area of study that you may or may not be interested in doing, okay? So you don't have to focus on past life karma. Karma isn't only past life. There is also current life karma as well. So I would just stay with what feels good to you and what is of interest to you. So in anything I ever talk about, in anything in my readings, I always ask for my team to give the exact information that you need at the time and to let go of anything that doesn't resonate with you. I am not, it's okay. I'm not here to challenge you. I'm not here to say that my way is the only way or the right way. I'm just here to share concepts and ideas that I have learned and things that I like to talk about, okay? So thank you for bringing that up, JP. It was actually amazing that you did that because that allowed me to explain that to my other people in the community. So thank you. I appreciate that. You guys, I appreciate you asking questions. I appreciate any pushback. I do, because then I can answer the questions. Also, it makes me think. It's one of the reasons why I became a teacher, because I teach what I most need to learn, and I learn from you what I most need to learn. So it's a two-way street here, okay? Susan says, current life karma is how I live. I love it, Susan. That's awesome. And I know you study Buddhism, so you study this a lot. You know this concept inside and out. Okay,